Welcome to the Daily Meditation with me, Paul Harrison, and our special guest, Giovanni Deinstmann. Hi, Giovanni. How are you doing today?
Hi, Paul. I'm really well. Thank you for having me here.
My pleasure. So today we're going to be talking about different meditation techniques, secret tips and tricks to help you progress in meditation, and the difference between meditation apps and traditional meditation. First of all, however, Giovanni, could you introduce yourself?
Sure. So I'm a meditation teacher, best-selling author, and self-discipline coach. I've been practicing meditation daily since I was maybe 15 or 16. And I've tried many different styles of meditation, read over 200 books on these topics. And yeah, for the last several years, I am working as a meditation teacher and author full-time, helping people discover a practice that works for them.
Fantastic. So let's go back to the beginning of your personal journey. How and why did you first get into meditation?
Yeah, so I was interested in philosophy and metaphysics and Eastern spirituality, and so I started buying the books that I could find. I was born and raised in Brazil, so the books that I could find in Portuguese in the bookstores. And at a certain point, there was a workshop being held in my city by a group called Brahma Kumaris. They still exist. And I went to that workshop and experienced a 10 minutes guided meditation, and I felt that was fantastic. I felt really peaceful. I felt really happy in the moment without needing to do anything. And that was a very unique feeling for me. So from that day onward, I decided that I would meditate every day in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it all began.
Very similar to myself. I always remember my first meditation and how peaceful it felt, and then just wanting to do it every day and share it. So let's talk about specific meditation techniques. Do you have any specific techniques that you prefer? Mm-hmm. Your favorite ones?
Yeah, so in my case, it's mantra meditation nowadays for the past few years, and Trataka. Trataka is a gazing form of meditation from the yoga tradition. Mm-hmm. But I've experimented many different styles, and depending on the spiritual path that I was exploring at any phase of my life, I was exploring different styles of meditation. So I did the Zen Buddhist meditation for 3 years. I did this non-dual self-inquiry meditation for 9 years. And so depending on where I was trying the style of meditation of that tradition.
So I know you mentioned Trataka there, and I know on liveanddare.com, your website, you certainly got a very in-depth guide to Trataka. Could you just explain precisely how we do Trataka, because perhaps some beginners haven't heard of that technique before, and also how that technique is different in terms of the benefits to what most people do, which would be like anapanasati, mindful breathing.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay. So the main thing that is different about this meditation is that you're doing with your eyes open. That's the first thing that is different, while most other styles are with your eyes closed. Or, maybe even in Zazen and some styles of Tibetan Buddhism, your eyes are open, but you're just kind of letting your eyes rest on the floor in front of you. You're not actively gazing. You're not using the sense of sight for the meditation. And in Trataka, you are. And the reason for that is that your brain and your eyes are very connected. The eyes are actually an extension of the brain. And the yogis have found that by controlling the eyes, you can control the mind. You can calm the mind by calming the movements of the eyes. And so when you are gazing at an object continuously without moving your eyes, that brings a sense of calmness, a very powerful sense of calmness and stillness in the mind. And in the yoga tradition for many centuries, Trataka has been the foundational exercise for concentration. It's considered the most powerful exercise for concentration. You find similar meditation actually in many traditions. In Buddhism, you have the Kasina meditation that's as old as the Buddha, in which you will gaze an object of different colors, or you will gaze like a bit of even candle, or some dirt for the element of earth, or some water for the element of water. So yeah, this technique is found in many different traditions for different names, by different names.
And that, I would think that would be really interesting for beginners, because as beginner meditators, we're very accustomed to the idea that meditation is just done with the eyes closed and just concentrating on the breath. But actually, when you incorporate your body into it, whether it's just as having the right posture or, as you say, using the eyes, you can get increased benefits from that, can't you?
Yeah, Trataka is also, you know, each style of meditation has different benefits. And this is something that is not widely studied yet. We kind of put all styles of meditation in the same bucket. And of course, they all have some benefits in common. Even if you have no style, you just sit quiet and don't move, you're going to experience benefits of relaxation and calmness and all of that. But different ways of using your brain, there are different mental exercises, and therefore they have different benefits. In Trataka, as I said, it's of all the styles that I've studied and tried, is the most powerful one for concentration. It helps you improve memory, helps you with anxiety. It gives you more self-confidence. Your eyes are going to become more piercing and sharp and more present over time. Yeah, there's a whole list of benefits. I don't remember them by heart now, but it's in that article that you mentioned.
And you also mentioned mantra meditation.
Yes.
What specific type of mantra meditation?
So from the yoga and tantric tradition, the traditional style that you kind of are initiated by a guru that passes you the mantra, and you practice the mantra like that. So there are different ways of practicing mantra. One of them is saying the mantra out loud. Then the second one is whispering it. The third one is just in your mind. And the fourth one is when you're not consciously repeating the mantra anymore. The mantra is repeating itself and you're just watching, or you're just listening to it. And so these are 4 different levels of practicing mantra. In the tradition that I am linked with, we practice mantra whispering. And eventually you can just do it in the mind. But most people, when they think of mantra meditation, they think of TM, transcendental meditation. And they have a very different approach to mantra meditation that is, in my opinion, it's something that is not traditional. It's kind of made up by Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. It's not the usual way that we practice mantra meditation in this tradition. And the way that he teaches is supposed to be effortless. Like, you don't repeat the mantra, you just remember the mantra from time to time when the mind starts to get busy. But yeah, the effects from that, in my opinion, according to my studies and practices, is not as deep as if you actually practice it as a form of concentration.
And what specific mantra do you use? Is it like Om or?
No, it's a longer mantra. We were not supposed to share it. Yeah,
okay.
yeah. But it's not the 1-syllable mantras.
Right.
For people who want to start on their own, they can start with the mantra Om. There are also some other 1-syllable mantras like Hrim or Shrim that they can also practice. Yeah, unless they are practicing within a spiritual context, and then the mantra might be different. The Christians have also eventually practiced mantra meditation, the Christians and the Sufis. So again, just like with gazing, it's another universal form of meditation that you find in different traditions.
So you seem like a very traditional meditation practitioner and teacher. So I'm really
yeah. The way I practice onto myself, yes. Sorry to interrupt. The way I practice onto myself, yes. The way that I teach is, especially through the blog and my courses, is more secular by nature. But there is that deeper foundation in the tradition.
Yeah. So as a kind of traditionalist, I'm really wondering what you take on the modern approach to meditation in terms of things like, people listening to recordings on YouTube, or having the Headspace app or the Calm app or whatever it would be. How do you feel about those kind of modern takes on meditation compared to traditional meditation?
I think there are different things for different people. Depending on what you want from meditation, that might be good for you. In general, I think it's beneficial. Now, most people, they need a practice that will help them calm down and become more aware and slow down their body and their mind. And then, yeah, you can get an app such as Headspace or Insight Timer. There's 60,000 free meditations on Insight Timer. It's just crazy. You can get an app like that and put in your earphones, press play, and you will feel better. If you get a good meditation, you will feel better after that. So if what you want is better health and improving your focus a little bit and improving your sense of well-being, then yeah, there are all of these different forms also work. Now, if your goal is to go deeper into the spiritual aspects of meditation or to really transform yourself in a deeper way, then that you can also start like that, but eventually you'll feel like, you know what, this is barely scratching the surface for me. I want to go deeper.
Yeah, I've personally come to the conclusion that we need two different words for meditation. There needs to be a way to distinguish what modern meditation is considered compared to what traditional meditation is, because they're really not the same thing, are they?
Well, you know, the same thing has happened to yoga, where the way it was practiced traditionally and the way it is practiced and taught in the West are two different things, but we're using the same word for it. And the same has happened, for instance, with Tantra, which is a spiritual tradition in the East that is widely misunderstood, both in the East and in the West. And in the West, Tantra is like it's sexuality, right?
Yes.
Sacred sexuality. So I think it's unavoidable as we get these concepts that even enlightenment, what it means enlightenment traditionally and what it means when people speak about it these days, it's two different things. So I agree that it can cause confusion. For those who are more in the surface, they're interested, you know, just having a practice that they do 15 minutes a day that makes them feel better. It probably doesn't matter so much. But as you're starting to go deeper, then it can be confusing for a while.
So do you think you would say that the apps are an ideal place for beginners, but then eventually we should get to a point where we say, I need to progress from this?
I have no problem with beginners starting with guided meditations in an app.
Yeah.
I think it naturally comes to a point where they feel they don't need it anymore. You know, in my own courses in the beginning, I was very purist and I would not offer guided meditations. I would just offer the instruction and you follow on your own. And eventually people saying like, no, can we have a guided meditation, please? And then I started creating and people just love it. And because part of the purpose of what I teach is to experiment with different meditations, it makes sense to have guided meditations. But, you know, if once you zoom into one particular technique and you're doing it for months, you're probably not using the guided meditation so much anymore. Maybe from time to time as a refresher, but otherwise not so much.
And so you mentioned your own guided meditations for our listeners who would like to try your guided meditations. Are they on YouTube or are they on liveanddare.com?
Yeah, liveanddare.com. There are 4 or 5 free guided meditations there. And I also have some of them on YouTube, so they can find them there too.
And your channel name is again Live and Dare?
I think my channel name is Giovanni Deinstmann, actually, my full name. Okay. Maybe you can include it in the show notes and people can click.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. I'd love to. So let's discuss common mistakes that people make with meditating, because of course, the last 5 and so years having been such a big time of people suddenly getting into meditation, we have many beginners. Probably about 90% of people who meditate in the West today would describe themselves as beginners, I would imagine. So what are some of the common mistakes that you see from beginner meditators?
I think one of them is not spending time trying different techniques. They come to meditation thinking that that's kind of it, like you observe your breath, everyone's talking about it, but it's just like you imagine that we live in a society that nobody did physical exercise apart from a group of weirdos, right? And then after a while they realize like, hey, physical exercise is actually good for you, and now everyone's going to, like, my doctor said I should do physical exercise, okay, and then they go and they try running and they don't like, or they have a knee problem and they feel like, okay, you know, physical exercise is not for me. But wait, there's so many other types that you could have tried that maybe you would enjoy more or it'd be more beneficial for you. It's the same thing with meditation. There's so many different types. If you try one style, it doesn't work so well for you, you can try a different style. And so perhaps the one mistake would be people not spending the time to try different techniques in a kind of organized way, not a different one every day, right? You kind of get one, try it for a week, see how you feel, maybe journal about it, then try another one. And after some weeks like this, you will find out, okay, this is actually the best style of meditation for me. And unless I had gone through this process, I wouldn't have figured out. So that's perhaps one one mistake. The other mistake is not building a daily practice. Right? Meditation is not the type of thing that you can get away with doing every once in a while.
Yes.
You need to do every day. It's our mind every day is exposed to so much stimuli, and every day our mind is, tends to go towards stress and anxiety. So we need our practice of meditation to be there for us every day as well. Right? It should be, we should think about it in the same category of things as eating and shower. It's better to do these things every day. Yeah, so these two things would be mistakes. Another one, and this is more relevant for people who want to go deeper, is they skip the meditation warm-up, right? And this is something that is not widely talked about, but if it's time for you to meditate and you just sit and close your eyes and try to focus, a minute before your mind was all over the place, and now you expect it to be collected and calm and going deep. It's not going to happen. But if you spend a couple of minutes kind of consciously calming down your body and consciously calming down your breath, and setting an intention that not for the next 10 minutes, I'm really going to focus on my breath moment after moment as best as I can, and I'll try to enjoy this experience. If you spend 2 or 3 minutes doing what I call a meditation warm-up like this, the quality of your meditation will be very different.
Okay, so I'd just like to recap those tips because you went through a lot of stuff there. So firstly, and a point that I could not agree any more with you on, is that people really need to try different meditation techniques, because unfortunately we do have this notion in the West that meditation is just focusing on your breathing, and that simply is not accurate. There really are, you mentioned mantra and Trataka, and there's hundreds of different types of meditation. For instance, I believe it's Theravada Buddhism, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it's Theravada Buddhism has 700 types of visualization meditation. There's all these different options for people to explore. So that's the first point. And then you mentioned as well the importance of having a daily practice and of setting your intention. Having a daily practice is one of the things that I feel like people struggle with a lot. Do you have any advice on how people can get themselves? Because a lot of people have the desire to meditate every day, but then they don't see it through. So do you have any advice on how somebody can go from just thinking, yes, I would like to meditate every day, to actually doing that?
Yeah, sure. Before I decided to create my courses, I asked people in my audience, like, what do you struggle with the most? And I think number one or number two answer was self-discipline. Right? So self-discipline is what allows us to build habits, and to break bad habits, and to live our life more aligned with our values. So that's, building a meditation habit is part of this bigger theme. But in terms of quick tips that people can take away from this episode, I would say start small. Start, if you can meditate for 20 minutes, start with 10. If you haven't meditated before, start with 5. I don't care, you can start even with 2. But the important thing is you start and you make a commitment to practice every day. You choose a time of your day, and you choose what we call an anchor habit. An anchor habit is an existing habit in your day that already happens every day, no matter what. So it could be brushing your teeth in the morning. And so the easiest way to build a habit is to attach it to an existing habit. So then, okay, every day, every morning, after brushing my teeth, I will sit and meditate for 3 minutes. That becomes the habit, that becomes your intention. And you can, you might need a form of reminder, such as, a post-it note saying meditate, and you paste that on the mirror on your bathroom, or leaving your meditation cushion in front, like in the middle of the way, so you see it in the morning. And then you go and do it. You do it for 3 minutes, and you increase 1 minute per week. Increase 1 minute per week until you arrive at 15 minutes or maybe 20. That would be a general framework of how to build a meditation habit. And every time at the end, when you have done your practice, then you commit, okay, tomorrow I'm going to do it again. And then tomorrow when you do it, again, you're going to say, okay, tomorrow I'm going to do it again. And like this, you keep on reinforcing that loop. There are actually many different tips that can help with this, but this idea of starting small, increasing little by little, attaching it to an existing habit, and recommitting at the end of every practice, this already will help a lot.
So we're nearly at the end of this episode. Is there any other secrets or tips or advice that you could share for our listeners? I'm sure you have a million things that you could say, but
yeah,
what is the one thing you would like to say?
There's so much I can say, and this is a bit vague. Maybe you can tell me something in your life or in your own practice, and then I could speak to that.
With my meditation practice?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I was not expecting this. You've turned the tables on me, Giovanni. How dare you? My meditation practice. Goodness me. So I'll tell you about my practice. So I meditate every day. I usually do the Buddhist meditations. Usually either Anapanasati or Vipassana. And then also some metta. But my problem, I've actually noticed that I've been doing it less since the pandemic. I don't know whether that's a shared thing. I've actually I still meditate every day. Don't get me wrong. As a teacher, that's kind of important. But I feel like I have actually lost touch with my practice a little bit since the pandemic.
And is it losing touch with the motivation? The motivation is not so present? Or
yeah,
is it
I think
something
so.
else?
I think, so to tell you a little bit about me, I was not expecting, this is supposed to be about you, Giovanni. So I'm in Canada, and my entire family lives 3,000 miles away in England. And of course, since the pandemic, I haven't been out to see anybody. So I believe that there must be some kind of link in terms of me losing touch with my broader life and that affecting my meditation practice. I was not expecting to share this. You're good. You're good at getting people to open up, because I wasn't expecting to.
Because I think then the conversation gets more practical and concrete. And the moment you share this, I bet that many people listening to this can already connect in some level to the challenge that you're facing. I find that it's important in our practice, or in whatever goal we are pursuing, maybe it's not even meditation, something else, but it's important that from time to time we reconnect with our aspirations. Like, think about why meditation is important for you. What got you started in this path, and what do you hope? What are the changes or transformation that you hope to achieve through this? This will help you get reconnected with your why. And when you get reconnected with your why, especially if it's not only in the mind, but it's like in the heart, you get emotionally reconnected to why this is important for you, then you're going to get more energy, and your practice will improve. Also, reconnecting with people who are on fire with their meditation. You know, Rumi, the famous Sufi, he said, and I'm quoting from memory, so paraphrasing, but he said, set your life on fire, seek those who fan your flames. Right. So when we spend time with other people who are passionate about meditation, or who are at the very least practicing it and interested, or maybe we read a book from a teacher who is very passionate on this topic, all of this helps us rekindle that fire for the practice.
Well, speaking of that, I'm going to read your book, which is called Practical Meditation. I believe there's a subtitle to it.
I hope you enjoy it.
I am sure I will. Well, Giovanni, thank you so much for all your insights. I mentioned to you before the episode, but I don't mind mentioning it in front of everybody else. You are one of my personal inspirations, because liveanddare.com, anybody who has not been to liveanddare.com, you must go there, because Giovanni's content is, honestly, it's fantastic. But Giovanni, is there anywhere else that people should get in contact with you other than liveanddare.com?
Sure, and thank you very much for your appreciation. It's always nice to hear that one's work is impacting. Other than liveanddare.com, I have another site called mindfulselfdiscipline.com, and this is about a book that I wrote on the topic of self-discipline. So if people struggle with building habits, breaking bad habits, or achieving their goals, and want to know how meditation can help them with that, that could be a good place to start.
Alrighty, well, once again, thank you to our special guest, Giovanni Deinstmann. And until next time, stay sensational.